But at the end of the day, is who's the best salesman. That is the person they'll buy. The problem is he's an idea whose time has come. If this was happening in 2025, just before the election, he would be formidable. But bro, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years is a long time.
By next year May, my
that's a long
prediction,
time.
by next year May, something new would have excited people. Not even May, by December. Something emerges that excites people, even from this impeachment. Something can emerge totally different that excites people, and slowly people will start forgetting about Morara. And
IKONINI. So on Saturday nilikuwa nafanya a certain shoot and I was doing the shoot with Eric. Eric ni the pilot, anakuwaga na hii podcast yake inaitwa Every Other Time with Eric. And during that time tulibaki tumebonga juu ya Morara, and he asked me like what are my views on Morara, and nikaenda tu nime paraphrase what Ken Mijungu has said akiwa hapa IKONINI, and that is this guy is not going to be relevant after like the next few months. And the reason why now on my side nilisema hivyo juu ya every time nimewatch a Morara video anaitisha do. Now the fact that anaitisha do iko na shida moja. Saa hizi we are being overtaxed by Ruto. So we mwenyewe unafaa kujua Kenyans are going through such a hard time. So if you keep asking them for the same thing over and over, it's going to be unsustainable ku do hiyo kitu over the next 3 years. And as we talk about that, lazima ujue like if Morara na display such weaknesses, we have to also blame ourselves as Kenyans, because vile umsa alikuja, he could do nothing wrong. And when you put someone on such a pedestal, it always ends up in a disaster. Na kumkami kuna time mlikuwa mnatry kuni cancel juu nilisema, but hey, wacha to go back to what he said on Saturday, and then we go through some of the comments, and then you can see why like the writing is on the wall. Umse saizi anafaa kuwa nafikiria tu juu ya kufunga ofisi na I don't know, to try something else.
Wakenya wenzangu, I'm once again requesting for your financial support for our civic education campaign and our drive for change. We are willing to be accountable for every single shilling that we will receive from Kenyans. What we are going to do is we are going to recruit volunteers from the 290 constituencies in Kenya, and we are going to coordinate a nationwide civic education campaign. Now, much as these people are willing to volunteer and do this for free, they need facilitation, and not just facilitation, they need materials. For that reason, we are requesting you to be generous enough to support us.
So aliandika hivyo, alafu akaweka like once again akaweka nini like the numbers to support ilikuwa namba yake, alafu akaweka PayPal, alafu akaweka the NCB account. And then now if you go through the comments you can see what I meant. Kuna mtu anaitwa Masculinity Men Together Hub alisema I sell shame just in case you lost yours. So hiyo nikaa kumwambia like he's shameless. Alafu kulikuwa na Miguna alikuwa amecheka. Tukienda chini kidogo tunapata msee alikuwa anaitwa Chalo alikuwa ameandika go back to what you used to do before the Gen Z protests. And that's basically kumwambia hiyo story like this has become too much. Msee mwingine anaitwa Follow KE akaandika nirudishie 500 yangu nikiweke 1000. I promise I'll increase your whatever limit to. Alafu Mohamed Welie msee pia anataka hii gava iende akamuita Zakayo. Alafu kuna Anthony Nyasimi akamwambia wachana na hii mambo sasa. But now the funny thing is, if you've been watching IKONINI, you remember there was a time I really laughed because I was saying that there's this one guy who'd been charged with fraud, and he was kwa protest akisema like Ruto must go, and that the guy I was talking about alikuwa Edwin H. Ndande, and Edwin H. Ndande aliandika Morara, why not release an accounting for what is already collected before you ask for more. Paka sasa that took a whole other turn, kwa sasa waswahili walikuwa wanacheka Dande and Morara enter a bar. Alafu Snoopy Kenya kaandika dude you're exactly like Morara, you scam people for a living, just different branding. So you see now Morara is being classified as a scammer, which might not be his intent, but his branding imekuwa very poor cause imekuwa ni kama you are the only person fighting for change, and since you're the only person fighting for change una need all this facilitation and what. And akina Ruto wakiona kitu kama hii, they just see that this is a guy that's very easy to handle. And that's why if you are to ask me, I think now I agree with Mijungu. Mbeleni sikuwa na agree na Mijungu that this guy won't survive for long, but I actually feel like he won't survive for long. And this is the reason. If you used to do all these things without the funding, because the first time that you ever went na ukaruka juu ya gari hakukuwa na hiyo funding, why can't you do the same? Alafu na kama juzi vile alitokea akabaki amesema nini, alisema that anataka kuweka security kwa ofisi yake, and hata tuambia how much he spent on security, and that was a mistake also, because you see security won't stop you from being arrested. Nachiki mseka Boni alikuwa ameseti zile cameras zake and he was still taken away from his house, so security will not stop you from being abducted. If it's an abduction, it won't stop you from being whatever. So history ya Morara ni tricky sana, because you really want to support someone, but then you look at vile wana behave, alafu unaanza kufikiria like maybe could they be addicted to history ya Nini. Kusikienda kwa page ya Morara wangalia the pinned tweet ni I'm requesting Kenyans of goodwill to support me in boosting my blah blah blah, akaeka do, then unaruka kidogo unaenda now the video we just talked about, hiyo inaitisha do, alafu unaruka kidogo, ukiteremka kidogo unapata of course amebonga jua kina Gaidho nini, but you want to go too far before you get another one ya kuitisha do, and that makes it really hard to survive, because one of the reasons why we don't trust the Ruto'S of this world ni juu ya do. So you don't want to look as the guy who is interested in people's, alafu people are going through it like right now. If you look at paychecks za wase, watu wanatolewa shift hiyo SHA whatever, alafu watu wanatolewa housing fund, and people are just getting used to that, like this housing fund thing was unconstitutional, all of a sudden it's constitutional, and pesa ya wase inaenda kukatwa, so people are earning less and less and less. So yes, we are fighting for political change, but can we fight for it in a different way? Yes, can we fight for it in a different way? And it becomes very tricky if every time that if you're fighting for these people, every time unaamka na unawaitisha nipatie, namaanisha first of all politically hauko ready, cause haujaonyeshwa juu ya branding, haujaonyeshwa pia juu ya mentality ya wase, cause a lot of people who will bash you and ask you to provide accountability are people who've never contributed. That's the number one thing. Ani wasiwajai contribute. Alafu kuna wasi watakuhype wakudanganye you can even run for president. Utaranaje for president if the contributions are going to your personal account? Wacha tuanze na hiyo. M-Pesa iko na limit ya 300,000 shillings, yes? So 300,000 shillings, it means that in a month the maximum unaweza nini 9 million, yes, times 30, yes, that's 9 million in a month. In a whole year ina come to around 108 million. Now ask yourself, if you're doing contributions through M-Pesa, will the government allow you to continue doing these contributions through M-Pesa, or will the government get away to whatever? So all these ambitions of being president, let's be realistic, the best haiwezi happen. Wasota kuhype, wasota kuambia this is a wave nini, and people will kasa hizi kushua kuna mseme jambo una support Ruto, mi support Ruto anaweza kwenda huko, lakini pia Morara stands zero chance, and the reason why he stands zero chance is every time ana post, hata niko sure maybe by the end of today, by time na nini atakuwa amepost kitu ingine itakuwa we'll account for every single shilling, we'll do this. Civic education comes in very many forms. What sisi tunafanya hapa, naweza sema I do civic education, naweza sema udem anaitwa Ngugi right now is doing civic education, so people are doing civic education from all nini. It's not one center, there's not one person who understands how to do these things, so this is going to be really tricky for him. He's someone I really hoped would survive politics, but as things look right now, I feel like he's zero threat, and that's why nagele time watu wakinibash nikisema Ruto never spoke to this guy, this is further proof that Ruto never spoke to him. Ruto angembongesha na mwachieka kitu, angemconfuse kabisa, na hii story yote inge happen. So but wacha tutacheki like what he'll do, but we have a very tough battle going ahead. because I feel like people will need to get themselves out of that, I think, ni savior mentality where there's this one savior, and we need to start looking at the broader picture. The broader picture is, yes, we don't have one savior, but we have one villain, and we need to think of ways to get rid of this villain. And this villain has a lot of money, because remember in a previous video I talked about how Adani wanaenda kutucharge 7 times. Unajua for every kilometer of transmission line wanatupatia wanatucharge 7 times more. So you can see these are the things that are happening, and if these things are happening, and on the other side Wakenya, a lot of businesses are closing down, and now politically how we supposed to survive? It would be better for someone who's small to join other people who are already based, cut their teeth hapo, najua abaki amejua how what to do and what not to do, alafu tubaki tumecheki the bigger picture, alafu tujue ni aje, but otherwise hii itakuwa ni hard sana. And yes, and still tukibonga J story, of course another thing pia I need to look at is wacha turuke kwa Cherargei, because don't forget the people that we are fighting with are trying to actually change the constitution so that they can end up having more time to steal. And Cherargei alibaki ametokea akasema that he does not know the impact of 250,000 emails, but he's planning to go through these emails, and after going through these emails he's going to tell us what he believes Kenyans are saying. So don't be surprised that after Cherargei go through these emails, he's going to come and then tell us that Kenyans want the constitution changed. Because this story of Cherargei, as I keep saying, this is Ruto who sent him. This is not Cherargei. Cherargei mwenye ukimwangalia, you can see, like he actually shared the bill that was written. And he's saying he's the one who wrote this bill. We mwenye angalia tu Cherargei, uniambie kama unafikiria he can write such a bill. He did not write this bill. So, say, anasema juu hizo 250,000 emails zile ziko hapo, wanaenda kuziangalia, and I'm sure in their public participation Kenyans watakuwa kitaka constitution ikuwe changed, and these are the things we have to fight. We have to fight kabisa. So this is another battle that we have going ahead. Everyone was thinking that this is just a joke. Wasi wa ODM wametokea, nilicheki mse kama nani anaitwa Sifuna alibaki amesema that haizi support hiyo bill, but should we take his word for it? Unajua ODM, if because nani has been very quiet ikikam to his story, Raila, and I'd want to know, like, is Raila actually ready to let the country go back to an imperial president? I'd want to lie to myself that haezi taka kitu kama hiyo, but still after the Gen Z protests, of course, na kumuona akiingiza watu kwa gava, I don't know what to say, but yes. So wacha tusikie vile nani alibaki amejitetea na hii story. Sifuna vile kwa anasema like there's no way he would support such a bill.
Honorable Speaker, as a member of the SPC, I am going to be pushing very hard that the conduct and pronouncement of certain members, even the bills that they bring before this House, they are costing the image of this House, Honorable Speaker, because those bills are tone deaf. How can somebody just stand up out of nowhere, propose a constitutional amendment to extend his own term when he's here and he was elected for 5 years? And then the rest of us are supposed to be dragged through this shame because people are looking for clout, bringing very useless bills here instead of addressing the things that are facing wananchi, Honorable Speaker. Which is why I want to encourage our colleagues, because the majority of the members of this House know what brought them to this House. Some of us have never even gone to a sauna. A Bukusu man like myself, what is a sauna? I don't know. That is not why I was sent here. I was sent here to bring money for the people of Nairobi so that the governor can complete the new maternity wing at Mama Lucy. So, Honorable Speaker, these members who repeatedly bring shame to this House by bringing up ridiculous ideas, ridiculous thoughts, and painting them as if they are the thinking of the entire House, we need to call them out, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, so manchiki hivyo ndio alisema. So hopefully this time hii kitu haita go through hizi stories zote zile anasema, kwa sababu anasema sasa we'll have to go through public participation, alafu we go through a referendum. You can try and imagine how much a referendum is going to cost. All those billions. And this is going to cost us all these billions because Ruto is trying to be a life president, and anyone else who thinks that this Cherargei stupid fuck is coming up with these things ye mwenyewe ni pia ni mtu mjinga. Hii bill si Cherargei, hii bill ni Ruto. Unajua Ruto anafurahia power sana, that's why unacheki mtoi wake like this past weekend, mtoi wake alikuwa na post mapicha zake akiwa kwa ma3 akituonyesha zile za ikonini mtadu. Unafikiria ma3 it's not such a good business as people make it seem. Like a lot of people wale wame succeed kwa ma3, like out of 10 people utapata ni watu 2-3 wame succeed, alafu the rest jua ni kuosha pesa uosho hapa nje. Hasa ukicheki kuna wase wengi, angalia hata mse kama nani akiulizwa source of wealth yake anasema ma3, umse wa Shimo la Tewa Sonko. But check your do, when wase wangapi wa ma3 unajuaga wako na do mob hivyo, ile wanaweza enda wakipatiana tu do na ishagi wacheki. So ma3 inatumikaga, so hiyo ndio kitumia. Ukiniuliza mtoi wa president, hii ni do tu yetu, imetoka kwa budake, wanaiosha, alafu saizi wanatuonyesha nini, alafu budake anataka kuwa president for life. And that's one of the things that we have to keep resisting and resisting forever. Ikonini.